This is a talk about the assignments for Adler Graduate School course number 504, Abnormal Psychology. I encourage you to also listen to the course overview talk that discusses the goals and organization of this course. In each unit after the first one, you will do an analysis of a case from the Brown and Barlow text, posting your original response on the Tuesday or Friday of the unit, and your peer responses by Wednesday or Saturday. You will use the same case to complete a measurements exercise, which you will post on the Wednesday or Saturday of the unit. For each unit, you will do a personal reflection based on a domain of the cultural formulation interview. There is a special project that is due at the end of the course. There are 2 extra credit case analyses and a forum on the Manic measure that are available for extra credit. Now let's look at each assignment in more detail. For units 2 through 9, there is an assigned case from the Brown and Barlow text. After reading the case and consulting the DSM-5 and the appropriate decision trees, report your DSM-5 and ICD-10 diagnoses, including specifiers. Be sure to review the differential diagnosis section of DSM-5, as well as the decision trees from the DSM-5 handbook for the diagnoses you are considering. Remember that the diagnostic criteria often specify a time period. Identify when there is insufficient information to make a diagnosis. Next, review the information in DSM-5 and the decision tree about your primary diagnosis. Discuss any similarities or differences between the case and the diagnostic features, development and course, risk and prognostic factors, culture-related diagnostic issues, gender-related diagnostic issues, and diagnostic markers that are discussed in DSM-5 for your primary diagnosis. Finally, construct a maintenance model for this case. You may focus on a single symptom or on a combination of symptoms of the diagnostic category as you identify behaviors and beliefs that seem to you to perpetuate this person's distress and dysfunction. There is a talk in Unit 1 of the course page to guide you further in this task. There is also a talk, a case example in Unit 1 of Case 1 from Brown and Barlow. I strongly encourage you to take the time to review the original postings of each of your fellow students. This is probably the single most powerful professional development experience in this course. I will post my case analysis on the day after it is due. For each case analysis, you can earn up to 4 points for your original response and up to 2 points for your peer response. I tend to give 3 points for original responses and 1 point for peer responses unless they are excellent. That is why I include the extra credit forums. Please be sure to include a DSM-5 and ICD-10 diagnosis, including specifiers, and discuss the decision tree factors from DSM-5 Handbook of Differential Diagnosis, as well as all of the DSM-5 information about your primary diagnosis. The diagnostic features, development and course data, risk and prognostic factors, culture-related diagnostic issues, gender-related diagnostic issues, and diagnostic markers. I am looking for an accurate and deep intuitive understanding of the case, as well as a well-written response with no significant grammatical errors. Lucid writing with no ambiguity indicates an ability to communicate well with your client about your diagnostic formulation. Unless you notify me, late postings will receive half credit. An example of a case analysis for case number 1 is available on the course page in Unit 1. For the measures exercise, you will use the same case from Brown and Barlow that you used in the case analysis. After you have read the case, empathize with the person as best you can, striving to see the world as they see it. Focus on a specific time in the person's life as portrayed in the case study, and complete the Level 1 symptom measure, the diagnostic specific measure or measures, and the who-das, as if you were the client at this point in their life. Be sure to identify the time in the case history for which the measures are being completed. These are due on the Wednesday or the Saturday of the unit. You will be able to review the postings of each of your fellow students at that time as well. I strongly encourage you to take the time to do this. Seeing how others have perceived a case is a powerful learning opportunity. I will post my work on the day after it is due for your review. Please let me know if you're going to be late in posting your response. These are the measures for use in each unit. As we move through the course, if you feel like a measure from a previous unit would be appropriate to the case material, feel free to complete it as well as the measure for the unit. For each measure exercise, you can earn up to 2 points. I tend to give 2 points for these exercises unless there is a glaring deficiency evident. It is important that all appropriate measures be completed. I am looking for an accurate and intuitive interpretation of the data, as well as well-written responses with no significant grammatical errors. Unless you notify me, late postings will receive half credit. An example of a measures exercise for case number 1 is available on the course page in Unit 1. There are 8 components to the supplementary modules of the cultural formulation interview, and we will focus on 1 in each unit. This whole interview is available on the course page. The personal reflections are for you to explore each of these components from an experiential perspective. For each component, your assignment is to consider a problem you currently have or one that you have had in the past, and discuss this problem using the framework presented in the component of the cultural formulation interview. You can stick with the same problem area through all 8 CFI components, or you can examine a different problem in each reflection. The goal of this exercise is to achieve an integration of the 3 systems of information processing. The knowing system, where you have the factual content of the component, namely your experience. The doing system, where you translate this knowledge into practice. And the reflecting system, where you consider the experience of answering the component question. The reflection system can feed information and conclusions back to your understanding of the component and to the style you use in your inquiry about that component. For each reflection, you are encouraged to consider these topics. First, how did it feel to process your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in this way? Second, did this exercise give you any insight into yourself? Third, did this exercise change your understanding of the component of the CFI? And fourth, what impact did this exercise have on your style of inquiring into the component of the CFI with your clients? There is a guideline document available on the course page. Each personal reflection can earn up to 2 points. I tend to give 2 points for these exercises unless there is a glaring deficiency. Please address all 4 questions in your reflection as well as the topic areas that are identified in the CFI semi-structured interview. I am looking for an accurate and deep intuitive understanding of the problem you are discussing, as well as well-written responses with no significant grammatical errors. Lucid writing with no ambiguity indicates an ability to communicate well about personal issues. Your postings will be confidential. The special project for this course is to conduct a diagnostic interview with a friend or colleague acting as your subject. Your interview should use the questions from the cultural formulation interview, the Level 1 symptom measure, any of the Level 2 measures you want to include, the WHODAS, and any other inquiry you feel necessary to write your diagnostic assessment. Your report of this interview will be similar to an initial assessment report, presenting your findings, a diagnostic case formulation including a maintenance model and a DSM-5 and ICD-10 diagnostic impression. You can earn up to 20 points on the special project. Please address all 6 areas that are identified in the scoring rubric. Report and discuss the results of any measures or rating scales you use. I am looking for an accurate and deep intuitive understanding of the person you have interviewed, as well as a well-written response with no significant grammatical errors. Lucid writing, with no ambiguity, indicates an ability to communicate well with your clients about your understanding of them. There is a detailed outline of this scoring rubric available on the course page. In each unit after this first one, you will do an analysis of a case from the Brown and Barlow text, posting your original response on the Tuesday or Friday of the unit, and your peer responses by Wednesday or Saturday of the unit. You will also do a measures exercise with this case in each unit, and a personal reflection based on a domain of the cultural formulation interview. There is a special project due at the end of the course. There are 2 extra credit case analyses and a forum available for extra credit.